Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Maqbool with you at Pitafi. Well, in today's show, we will be taking a look at the political dynamics of the country and how these are being shaped by emerging parties. We have yet another party emerging, this time led by the former Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Chief Minister and ex-PTI leader Mr. Farrukh, who has officially announced the launch of a new political party. Previously, it said he will be coming out with a new one, and it is called Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Parliamentarians. And this is important, especially in terms of what has happened significantly since May 9th. We saw a large exodus of party leaders from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, some claiming to leave the party, some claiming to leave the post, as was done by Mr. Farrukh as well. And then, of course, some moving on to go forward and make new ones, with a lot of people, of course, joining that as well. And this included disgruntled PTI leaders of the past too. A party started by Mr. Jahangir Tareen called the Istiqam-e Pakistan Party is also something that was launched earlier. And now, of course, the PTIP is something that we have seen emerge now, and a number of party leaders and former members of the parliament reportedly have joined the party. We've also seen reports coming out of a number of party leaders claiming and denying the reports that they have joined the party. So it'll be interesting to see what really is the actual strength of the party, both in terms of numbers and in terms of the big names that have joined it. Regardless of that, we know, of course, that now there is another party, and it is, of course, going to be contesting the next general elections. The sort of impact that this will have not only in KP province, but the overall dynamics of the country is going to be important. At the same time, it seems that the PTI chief is claiming that he still has chances of victory, whether or not the party remains, and that this is something that is unquestionable. He will be forming another one if the current one is disqualified or banned, and that he will still move on to win the elections, claiming that his political and voter base is intact. So we're going to be taking a look at what that means as well, and what sort of strategy is in place both by PMLN and PPP and other parties contesting the elections, with the Prime Minister, of course, also hinting towards the dissolution of the Assembly prior to the completion of its tenure, which seems to be the case, and is pointing towards elections in November. At the same time, we also know that the PMLN has been also pointing towards the return of Mr. Nawaz Sharif, with the Prime Minister also claiming that the party and the country under the leadership of Mr. Nawaz Sharif will move towards progress. And so we're going to see, of course, important dynamics coming in. The PPP at the same time also seems very strong about winning the elections, both also winning seats in the province of Sindh and also at the center. And this, of course, is something that is going to be interesting in terms of how it is being claimed, what sort of a strategy and mandate is there, particularly by the PPP in Punjab. So we're going to try and take a look at the current dynamics of the country, what the situation is, and then try to understand what lies ahead, particularly in terms of the general elections. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi. We've also been joined online by Mr. Aqeel, yousafzai, who's a senior journalist. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us and being a part of the debate. Farrukh, let me start with you. First of all, of course, the emergence of a new political party. Now we have the PTIP. We earlier, of course, had another party coming in led by Mr. Jahangir Tareen, but now, of course, is something that's more central to KPK. What sort of dynamics do you think this will have? Because it seems to be in a place which has been a stronghold of the PTI. Do you think that this is something that has added to the problems of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf? And as claimed by Parvez Khattak, that the PTI is no more in KP?
Right, Sana, thank you very much for this opportunity. I think that let me remind you the day when other party members were joining IPP. At that time, I said that I am waiting for Parvez Khattak to leave the party. And the day he does, I think that will be a big day, because that will indicate that now PTI is not coming back, right? Why? Because you earlier said that Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is a stronghold of PTI, right? Why was it the stronghold of PTI? It is no secret that it is Parvez Khattak's 5 years as Chief Minister that actually ensured that PTI gets the kind of mandate that is needed there. And through that, they have been expanding their space. But what happens in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and what happens in Punjab are not the same thing. In Punjab, because PTI success was a relatively new phenomenon. Because of that, we have seen that they haven't had any person who could cause the kind of concerns for PTI as Parvez Khattak might have been able to do in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So right now, with the departure of Parvez Khattak, especially when he was expelled from party, right? And it was a huge mistake to expel him at a time when the party needed a lot of support from everybody who was there. Parvez Khattak has a long record of his governance in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Then his influence is big as well. And then I wish someday you meet one of the fanboys in our bureaucracy that have actually served with him. And you will be inundated with the stories of Parvez Khattak being a great leader, a great manager. So I think that at this moment with his departure, people keep on talking about Mahmood Khan. I don't think that is a biggie. Asad Kaisar and Parvez Khattak, these are the two people who actually started PTI. PTI has two introduction cards or calling cards. One card is it as a party that has been there for quite some time. The second calling card is regarding how it has governed. And for that, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa was the first place where it carved its niche. So the people who actually created PTI Governance Party have left the party. And today we can say with comfort that all this assessment that perhaps the party is not going to, the new party is not going to have that kind of wings, it is not going to have that kind of punching power, I don't think that is true. Those people are not studying the dynamics on ground in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
All right. So moving forward, of course, when we talk about the general elections as well, we've talked about how the IPP is going to perform, or how different other parties are going to be part of the elections as well. Do you think that since you're saying that this will be a big thing in KPK, it will also prove to be something that will be a strong force for both PMLN and PPP and whoever comes at the center?
Right, Sana, quite interesting. I mean, do you have a paper and pen?
I do.
Okay, write down what I'm going to say, because tomorrow you can confront me with that. I think that this party that has been created is going to be a bigger phenomenon than IPP. It can be a national phenomenon, by the way, because on its own, if you talk about Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it has quite an influence. And then Pashtun areas of Balochistan also, there too it is going to have an impact. So this is one example where PTI has really received a shock, and unfortunately, because right now the chairman of the party, of the original PTI, is surrounded by people who would not let him actually assess the truth the way it is. I think that he is going to have real difficulty in understanding the real loss that he has encountered today. And I think that regarding other major parties that you were talking about, People's Party or PMLN forming the government at center, I think with all these parties that are joining the fray, it is going to be a royal rumble, and we are going to see who exactly forms the government at the center.
Right. Do you think that the formation of this party and others also is something that is also making moves towards the eventual banning or disqualification of the current PTI chairman or his party? Is there any possibility that things may be moving in that direction now more so than ever?
I don't think that it is going to be something that is going to be high on priority list, right? Okay. One, any political party that actually is banned in the past knows how to reinvent itself and come back to electoral politics. One example that we keep on talking about is NAP, that was banned and then it came back as ANP. But having said that, my concern is at this moment that PTI keeps on losing people who can actually become effective candidates. Of course, PTI can nominate anybody, but 57 electables from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where they actually carved their niche and where they made a difference, they're finding new candidates. And what will happen, Sana? In coming days, whenever PTI will nominate people, especially if they are not recognized faces, they will come there, they will get the ticket, they will use that moment to further burnish their credentials, and after, because they won't be that influential, they will leave the party or ditch the party on the 11th hour. So with that kind of a situation in mind, I don't think anybody needs to ban the party. But of course, the party's chairman is going to face humongous legal battles. And I think that his actual challenges haven't started yet. They are going to start and they are going to mount very quickly. The actual real issues where he can be disqualified, he can actually face prison sentence also.
Right. Also, of course, when we talk about the way that different political parties are going to keep their stance, I also want to understand then, you say that, of course, Pervez Khattak has a lot of history in the province, but in terms of where we stand today and the challenges that the country face, what sort of issues do you think will be part of his narrative and mandate that he can now present in the next general elections?
Right. First of all, his narrative is going to be, I didn't leave the party, party left me, right? That is because he has a certificate. And by the way, who wrote that letter of expulsion? It was the grandson of Ayub Khan who actually wrote it, right? Who was in PMLN before this government actually came, the previous government actually came, and he was with People's Party's alliance before that as well. So with that kind of state of affairs, I think that Pervez Khattak has this solid argument that it is my party that ditched me. After that, of course, he can talk about his governance record, and his influence is also very important because out of these 57, there have many who are actually related to him by virtue of blood. So with that kind of a situation, I think he is going to be a very, very important factor in an incoming election.
All right. Let us also welcome in the discussion Mr. Aqeel Yousafzai, who is a senior journalist, who's joined us on telephone line. Thank you very much for joining us in the debate. Can you hear me?
Thanks, Sana. Sorry for miscommunication.
No worries, no problem. So, Aqeel Saab, the situation, of course, in terms of the emergence of a new party, this time by Pervez Khattak Saab, is an important one, and the dynamics that, of course, are going to be impacted. And I want to understand first, as part of the province of KPK, what sort of influence do you think possibly will exist by this particular party, and the kind of issues and threats that that possibly poses to PTI, and then, of course, in the next general elections, how do you think that this will be contested?
Yes, of course. It's a big, a damaging matter for the Imran Khan and his party Tehreek-e-Insaf, because Khyber Pakhtunkhwa was the base camp of Imran Khan and his party. And yesterday, today, we observed that many of his leading people and ex-MNAs and ex-MPs, including 8 ex-minister of Mahmood Khan cabinet, including Mahmood Khan and Pervez Khattak. So I think, and we, the journalist community, observed today that the crowd and the number of leaders was unexpected, because Pervez Khattak was absent after 9 and 10 May incidents and attacks, and same situation was faced by Mahmood Khan. So it's very damaging for the future of Tehreek-e-Insaf, and that's why we noticed that many other people, including Mushtaq Ghani and Atif Khan and 6 more ex-ministers, they are also in contact with Pervez Khattak and Mahmood Khan.
Right, and I want to also further explore, Aqeel Saab, the reports that are coming in claiming that not all of the party leaders that are being reported have joined the PTIP, and that a lot of them are still saying that they still support the current PTI chairman. What do you think about those reports? Are they false or true?
And by the way, allow me to actually add to this question, Yousafzai Saab, because you were talking about Atif Khan also being in contact. We know that in the past there was some tug of war that went on between Pervez Khattak and Atif Khan. Do you think that matter has been resolved? Because that is big news, if that is correct. Yousafzai Saab.
Yes, please. Yes, please. If we talking about the role of Atif Khan and other leaders, including Asad Qaisar, they all are in contact with the uh, local administration, and they had a lot of observation about the role and absent role of Imran Khan, and that is the basic reason that despite that there were many differences between among the Atif Khan and Mahmud Khan, between the Parvez Khatak and Mahmud Khan. But I think that in such situation faced by PTI and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, there is no way out for these people if they want to practice their politics. So Parvez Khatak and his group provided them a proper platform, and that's why I'm talking that today's participation in this gathering was unexpected for everyone, even for Peshawar-based media and for Parvez Khatak, and of course, a shocking news for Imran Khan and his group.
Right. Let us also welcome in the discussion Ahmed Karim Kundi Sahab, who's joined us, leader PPP. Thank you very much for joining us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, welcome.
Right. Ahmed said the situation, of course, with the emergence of the PTIP is an important one, especially when we talk about different political parties emerging. Previously, of course, it was IPP, mainly, of course, centered around Punjab. But when we talk about the KPK, the party led by Parvez Khatak is an important one. But I want to understand how your party is looking at all of these dynamics and the way that you're seeing these parties, particularly this one with the PTIP emerging as a potential contender in the next general elections.
First of all, I'm thankful for asking me such an important question and such an important development in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. But as far as my opinion is concerned, I think they all gathered together under the umbrella of the Parvez Khatak. I can talk in a detail about these people. They were not the ideological PTI people. They were also transferred from one party to another party, especially their head, Parvez Khatak Sahab. Parvez Khatak was first in Pakistan People's Party, then he moved towards Sherpaw Sahab, and after Sherpaw Sahab, he moved towards again PTI, and now after the PTI downfall, he goes towards his own party. So I don't think they were all not an ideological people, and they don't believe on ideological politics. They were all self-centered parliamentarians who get together today and they want to build a pressure. But I don't think any future, any political career of these people in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And as far as People's Party is concerned, People's Party is ready for election, inshallah. And we are heading towards election, and we are preparing for our election, inshallah. And we are expecting that the election will be held in October or November. And People's Party, inshallah, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa will emerge as the biggest party, inshallah, in the coming election.
And I understand what you're saying, but I want to also further explore that a bit in terms of what you're talking about, the different leaders and the opinion that you have. That may be so, but in terms of the public support that they have or the kind of voter base that they can garner, do you think that they don't even have that sort of influence in the province?
I don't think so, because it's a very recent history, and recent history, especially in 2013 election and 2018 election, they were supported a lot by all the factors which involved in Pakistani politics. So when they will contest the election without these factors which have been supported in the past, so I don't think they will be a serious contender in front of us, as far because they were supported a lot in recent past, and basically that was the PTI voters who were involved in all these constituencies. I don't think they can win, even Parvez Khatak can win Nowshera without the support of the PTI stalwarts and PTI voters or supporters. I don't think so.
Both the PMLN and PPP were trying to also get support from Mr. Parvez Khatak prior to, of course, his launching of the party. Can you verify these claims?
As far as my opinion is concerned, political people definitely sit together and they move according to the political situations, and they meet frequently, and maybe they met in some meetings, they met in some events and like that. But I don't think such a serious development have been happened in recent past as far as Parvez Khatak is concerned.
There's also the statement coming in from the foreign minister and co-chairman of the Pakistan People's Party, Mr. Bilawal, who's talked about how not only will the PPP perform well in Sindh, they will also perform very well in the center, of course. And when we talk about particularly the province of Punjab, I want to understand what sort of a strategy is in place to actually garner support, particularly in the province of Punjab, and how will the PPP also be looking at parties such as the IPP?
First of all, I want to tell you that in the government, when People's Party was in the government from 2008 to 13, we have done a very historical achievement, especially as far as the 18th Amendment is concerned. We have done a lot, especially reshaping the 1973 Constitution, and especially the 7th NFC Award was concluded in Pakistan People's Party government. And Pakistan needs, again, some political consensus all over the country. And the only Pakistan People's Party co-chairman Asif Ali Zardari Sahab has the ability and capacity to make this political consensus for the betterment of the Pakistan. And as far as the Pakistan People's
Punjab
Party,
and why do you say so?
Especially in, you are right. Punjab, basically for Punjab, in central Punjab, South Punjab, we are very good electables, especially Gilani Sahab was there and Ahmed Mahmood Sahab was there. But in central Punjab, we are definitely struggling. But I think this time in central Punjab, we are managing very good electables who can give a good number of seats to Pakistan People's Party. And we are definitely, I think we are hopeful that Pakistan People's Party will perform well in central Punjab also due to our past performance, especially our health sector in Sindh. We are doing very well, and especially Benazir income support program. Beneficiaries are getting better, and they are getting very good packages from this program. So People's Party is doing his best, and I think people are also looking towards People's Party. So hopefully we will perform
regarding the general elections later this year, who will be leading the electoral campaigns and who will be the prime ministerial candidate from PPP?
It's a very, definitely being the member of the Pakistan People's Party, we are trying our best, and we are very hopeful that Pakistan People's Party campaign will be led by the Pakistan People's Party chairman, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Sahab, and he will be the next prime minister in the coming election, inshallah.
All right. Thank you very much, Maqbool for joining us and being a part of the discussion. Farrukh, when we take a look at all of these dynamics, and especially what Ahmed Saab was talking about, I want to then understand that for some reason, whenever we talk about the elections, of course, there is a lot of focus on Punjab, and understandably so. But when we talk about the province, it has, of course, historically been the PMLN, and then there was, of course, the PTI also who garnered support, and now the PPP seems quite confident about the province as well. But in terms of the dynamics that we have today and the emergence of different parties such as the IPP and the kind of political challenges that the country has faced, what do you think will be the main drivers of the electoral campaigns in Punjab?
Right, Sana. Now this is a very interesting question, because you know, before PMLN was even thought of, there was one party that carried Punjab, and that was People's Party in 1970. And it was in Lahore where People's Party's journey actually started. But after that, we have seen that 2 or 3 factors that kept on undermining People's Party's vote bank there. The first thing, of course, was you know, this campaign that continued for quite some time, especially after Bhutto Sahab was assassinated. After that, we kept on hearing that People's Party has become a party of corruption. That was a very effective propaganda campaign, right? Then, of course, the fact that there were leaders emerging from within Punjab, and People's Party was actually, you know, its leader came from another province. That was a factor as well. But People's Party kept on doing fairly well in the urban side, on the urban side as well, in central Punjab and even upper Punjab. But then we saw that after Benazir Bhutto Sahiba's assassination, even they started losing their candidates after coming to power,
right,
especially in 2011.
Farrukh, we'll have to take a short break, but we'll continue the discussion as soon as we come back. Welcome back to the debate. We're talking about the current political dynamics of the country, and we are in a discussion with senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi and senior journalist Mr. Aqeel yousafzai. Farrukh, before the break, you were talking about, of course, the different areas in which, when we take a look, particularly in Punjab, and then, of course, the history with regards to the province, what is going to be the emergence of different parties.
Right. Thank you once again for bringing it back to me. I just wanted to actually point out that after 2011, and especially in 2013 elections, we saw that People's Party lost a lion's share of its electable candidates from Upper Punjab to PTI. And they have been part of PTI for quite some time, and we have seen that now the opposition leader from Punjab, actually at the center, is also from PTI, but he is also one of the people who left People's Party to go to PTI. So what happens now is what exactly is going to become of those people who are leaving PTI, whether they are going to go to IPP, whether they are going to join People's Party or PMLN, that is a big question. And one thing more has happened, that fateful by-election where 20 seats were contested and PTI actually walked away with 10. That has also taught many in PDM or PDM Alliance, that is PDM plus People's Party, that they should not be giving tickets to people who have left PTI. So we have to see how People's Party is going to actually do work with the candidates they have. But minus that, remember there is one very important dynamic that is going to play in the elections, and that is inflation. The inflation factor has always decided the electoral politics both in India and Pakistan. And in Punjab, it is going to, in one way or the other, hurt PMLN in certain aspects. So People's Party is meticulously keeping it away from the economic policies of the PMLN-led government. So they hope to actually escape that kind of wrath. Now what happens is, in coming days we have to see in lower Punjab, that is southern Punjab, they are going to get substantial seats. In the center, we still have to see whether they get the candidate or not. There's not a national wave in support of People's Party, but there too they can actually cast small pockets in support of them. Kamra Zama Kaira is going to be one of the candidates we hear who is going to be supported by all parties from PDM. So that will become an interesting aspect as well. But in coming days, we still have to see what becomes of People's Party. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, at least the landscape is getting better and clearer. Because of Parvez Khattak, I think that PTI now doesn't have any chance of competing with this.
All right. Aqeel Sahab, the situation, of course, in terms of the general elections and how different political parties will contest is important. And I want to understand your take on Punjab and also in terms of the overall mandate that different political parties represent. And add to that the reports coming in from the PMLN that it will not be going towards any major seat adjustment and how that will pave out for the rest of the parties also.
No doubt, as our senior friend mentioned, that many things depends on the planning of two major parties, People's Party and PMLN. We can't avoid the major and very positive role of Pakistan People's Party onward between 2008 and 13, when half of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and ex-part under the extremism and under the extremist militants. So, and other credit goes to People's Party in the shape of 18 amendment. So we observed and yesterday also 2-3 ex-candidates from Haripur and Hazara division joined the People's Party. And many other people, including even Parvez Khattak, was in contact with the Zardari House before this recent initiative. So we observed that in KP, that security situation in KP is very critical, and the dynamics the dynamics of KP is very different as per comparative of other provinces. So here in KP and Punjab and Balochistan, the threat of militancy and the role of liberal and democratic and national forces will play a very major role in the election campaign and election results.
Right, and I was just going to come to that because that, of course, is a major aspect of what Pakistan is dealing with, and especially, of course, unfortunately, KPK province has also dealt with it strongly. But in terms of the way that our interactions with the different extremist groups have proceeded, particularly after the U.S. troop withdrawal in Afghanistan, it's important to take a look at what sort of strategy will be put in place in significance with the TTP and, of course, with the Afghan Taliban regime as well. What sort of a dynamic then do you think that political parties such as the PTIP are going to take in, especially when a lot of the previous policies have been criticized?
Yes, very important question, and we should talk about it as you know that in today's Corps Commander Conference, the major topic of Corps Commander Conference was relationship with Afghanistan and how to deal TTP in the ground of recent attacks. TTP attacked Pakistan for 64 times in just 1 month of June. As per another report, TTP attacked Pakistan in last 6 months 350 times. So, in this situation, the Pakistani military establishment is very clear, and we noticed in recent 2-3 weeks that the military establishment stance on militancy and relationship with Iran, and as our Chief of Army Staff visited Iran today back, and they noticed after Job attack and a clear stance and was adopted by Army Chief, the safe havens of TTP in Afghanistan. So, actually, I want to convey that the election campaign, the TTP attack and the policy of our military establishment will play a very key role in the next election and election campaign, because you notice that in 2013 and 2018 election campaign, PPT and ANP, even the League Nun were attacked by TTP. So the situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan is very complicated, and let's see what happens in future.
Right, absolutely. And Farrukh, I want to explore that a bit further also, particularly in terms of the kind of stance that the PTIP is going to take. We know, of course, that a lot of the PTI's previous policies have been criticized and have been blamed for the surge in attacks in the province, and, of course, the regrouping of TTP as well. Do you think that the PTIP is going to distance itself from it? How will they take this forward?
Yeah, my problem is how exactly are they going to do it? Remember that when PTI was in government, Parvez Khattak Saab was what? Defense Minister. At that time, it was Defense Ministry's team that presented the idea of negotiating with TTP to the parliament, right? Especially the DGSI and the Army Chief of that time went to parliament and kept on actually presenting or arguing this case. So who is the defense minister? Of course, he can say that all policies were being made by the former, prime minister or his party, ex-party's chief. But will that cut? I don't know. But that is not going to be a huge, deciding factor in my point of view. I think it is going to come back to governance. It is going to come back to the question of, especially inflation and how costly, life has become. Especially the crisis of living standards, that is going to be something that is going to play a huge role. But I want to actually double back and focus on People's Party's claim in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as well. Remember that Khyber Pakhtunkhwa essentially owes its name, the current name, to People's Party. So I was in those days also, especially in 2013, and then in 18, I kept on thinking that perhaps Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is going to reward the party in some ways, right? But that didn't happen. Now what we have to wait and see is whether there is going to be any contact between People's Party and PTIP, because these two parties can work together and can actually create a lot of influence in the province. Bear in mind that People's Party already has an ally in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and that ally's name is ANP. When they formed the government at center, at that time in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it was ANP that had government there, right? And their alliance, both these parties actually quit PDM when there was a fight between PDM parties when they were in opposition, and they have actually been together. So how exactly is this kind of contact going to influence that? That will be a question. But remember that with somebody like Parvez Khattak, who has deep roots in country state, right? All infrastructure. Remember whenever the PTI's chairman was, there was a possibility that he might be replaced with somebody else. People kept on talking about Shah Mahmood and Asad, the former finance minister. At that time, everybody, did not expect that somebody will then nominate Parvez Khattak. So Parvez Khattak is essentially big league. There is a possibility that electoral arithmetic might actually play out in a very different way, and he might find some space at the center, and he might have the kind of punching power to claim something big. But we still have to wait and see how this is going to unfold. It is too early, because we haven't seen the candidates in the elections, we haven't seen the manifestos, we haven't seen their jalsas, which in any way, in any case, thought to be the defining factor of any election. How many people are there? How many are supporting the man? So I think that while People's Party and PMLN might want to actually connect with Parvez Khattak and his party, and might hope that they can actually win their support as well, but they will be skeptical of his rise as well, because then there is always a possibility that some dark horse actually becomes very influential and might form the next government.
All right. Aqeel Saab, we've talked earlier also about the PPP, and I want to now also take your opinion regarding the PMLN, and especially the return of Mr. Nawaz Sharif and the impact that that's going to have on the politics of the PMLN and how they're going to pave out. We earlier heard Kundi Saab referring to Bilawal Bhutto Zardari as, of course, being the frontman for the PPP in these general elections. But for the PMLN, it seems that there is also, of course, a lot that is being talked about regarding Ms. Mariam Nawaz. And then, of course, the Prime Minister himself has referred to the leadership of Mr. Nawaz Sharif as to leading the way forward for the country. So what do you think really will be the stance moving forward by the PMLN?
Of course. As per a survey conducted by NGO in 2022, there were two leaders very famous and popular in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, even in central Balochistan. One Mariam Nawaz and the other Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. At the same time, an other survey conducted a few months ago that Ahmed Khan is also very popular in youth. So the dynamics of Pakistan and the role, the active and positive role of allies, people noticed it the way Shehbaz Sharif visited 4-time ex-Fata and 6th time Peshawar and other parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and flood and other after 9 and 10 May. So Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is, if I'm talking about the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, here the dynamics of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is very different, basically, and politically Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is very rich, has a very rich political background. Every party existing in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. As our friend mentioned that Parvez Khattak once he was the irrigation minister, and the government led by Heather Uti in 2008 and 13. And another aspect on which we are discussing, and we are people questioning about the role of ex-prime minister, that he offered, if you remember, that he offered TTP a doubtful negotiation process, and resulted many of people's TTP attackers attacked SWAT in other areas of ex-Fata. And intellectually and politically, the people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the people of Sindh, even the people of Balochistan, they're resisting this policy, pro-militants and pro-Taliban policy of ex-Prime Minister, and many parties, especially People Party and ANP, they're utilizing that tool and that stance of Imran Khan, that publicly many people and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they think that ex-Prime Minister is pro-militancy or pro-extremist and pro-TTP. So in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, we observed that 2-3 parties, including People Party and Muslim League, especially Awam Nasser Party, they are exercising the election campaign from last 2-3 months.
Right. Right. Thank you very much, Aqeel, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. Yes, Farrukh.
Right. Regarding your question about PMLN's succession or their prime ministerial candidate, as far as we know, they have sort of resolved their issues regarding that, and we keep on hearing that in the election that is going to be held soon. In that, Mia Shehbaz Sharif, the incumbent Prime Minister, is going to be the Prime Ministerial candidate. And in that, in the general election, Mia Nawaz Sharif will not be participating as an MNA candidate, and that is because of his legal challenges. I think that he is going to come back to the country and resolve all those issues. After that, it is said that he is going to join the parliament through a by-election if he clears his name, and then he might become Prime Minister. So Mariam Nawaz is the future of party, and I think that everybody agrees that she has a lot of charisma and pull, but right now we are being told that she is being considered as the potential candidate for CMship in Punjab.
All right. Thank you, Farrukh, for that, and of course for being part of the discussion as well. That's all that we have from the debate. We'll see you tomorrow.